Sound Candid Talk is timely, accurate, professional, and affordable. You have a complaint or compliment, any question concerning our broadcasting, contact us soundcandidtalk@gmail.com. We are on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and X at Sound Candid Talk. Call us on 0718 45 45 85. Sound Candid Talk Live News.
That I missed when it comes to self-management that led to in fact, the kind of heart attack that I had online, they call it the widow maker, because people don't survive. All right. Now, I wrote a book years ago called The Experience from Customer to Ambassador. I was talking about how great organizations are built, not necessarily on great products, but great experiences. And that if 3 people are selling the same product in the same place at the same price, what's going to determine who makes the sale is the person selling, because people buy people at the end of the day. People buy people. So I talked about that, and I would tell people, how sellable are you? And I made a strong case for growing ambassadors and not just customers, because customers stay with you for the good times, ambassadors defend you in the bad times. But then I realized I was not a good ambassador of myself. All right, and let me explain. The most difficult person to sell something to is yourself. Have you ever tried recording your voice, or maybe there's a recording of your voice, and they want to play the recording in front of other people? Most people get embarrassed and they say, no, don't do that, isn't it? You know? So it's difficult to sell things to ourselves. So why was I not selling? Or why was I not buying myself? Why was I not being an ambassador for myself? First, I was not self-regulating. That's one of the things. Because you are constantly resonating with your audience, with the society. I like to give an example. President Robert Mugabe, when he came into government, everybody rejoiced. When he left, everybody rejoiced. What happened in between there? There was a disconnect. So relevance is not a given. And so we need to look at ourselves and ask, how do I do this? And the first thing is, we must define our brand. That's the first thing you do in building the brand. How do you want to be known? How do you, Winston Churchill said something that I connect with a lot. He said, history is going to be kind to me. And they asked him, how could you be so sure? He said, because I intend to write my own history. So you need to define your brand, because if you don't define how you want to be perceived, how you want to be seen, the world will still define it for you anyway. I'll give you my own personal story about defining the brand. One day, many years ago, maybe about 20 years ago or so, I was reading in the newspaper and they talked about me and they called me a motivational speaker. I laughed for 2 reasons. Number one, I did not know what motivational speakers do. And number 2, I needed motivation myself. My background is in social statistics. So I laughed about it and we left it at that. Do you know what? It stuck. Society had defined me. The media had defined me. Oh, is somebody hearing me today? They had defined me. Now, somebody may say, but Wale, what's the big deal? Well, I will tell you, when I was called upon, our company was called upon to drive a transformation process at the United Nations, do you think they were looking for a motivational speaker? No, they were not. When we work with organizations like Google and so on and so forth, are they looking for a motivational speaker? No. I've had the privilege for about 15 years of teaching transformational leadership at the SLDP, at the Kenya School of Government. You know, they're not looking for a motivational speaker. So what is the point? If I did not take back my brand and define my brand, it will limit my progress. So part of that self-regulation was to realize that busier does not mean bigger. What means bigger is depth, substance. It must be substance over hype. How do you want to be defined? So define your brand, then you have to project your brand. As an author, I learned something the hard way, and that is there's a difference between a best written book and a best-selling book. You may have a book that is so well written, but nobody knows about it. Or conversely, you may have a book that is so lousy and everybody is buying it because it is best-selling. So the question I need to ask you, are you best-selling or are you just best-written? And part of that self-regulation is that you are going to build inwards, you are going to build depth, you are going to build substance, you are going to be intentional about the kind of leader you want to be remembered as. Everybody will be remembered, but how they will be remembered is a different thing. Some people will be remembered as an inspiration, and others will be remembered as a warning. When I say some people are remembered as an inspiration, that means in future, somebody else wants to come and do the job you're doing, they will be told, if you want to succeed here, whatever you do, be like so and so. That's called an inspiration. But the opposite is true. If you want to succeed, whatever you do, don't be like so and so. So which one are you? Is somebody hearing me? Do me a favor. I know accountants are not used to this, but ask the person next to you. Which one are you? No, it's true. Are you an inspiration or are you a warning? Because everybody is going to fit into that thing. Let me go to Nigeria now. I beg you. Everybody is going to fit into that. So that's part of the self-regulation. I was so passionate about this. I wrote a book about it. It's called, yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. You know, because I would not have had the heart attack. And let me tell you, I would not have gone through a year of being an emotional mess. I would not have had to go through, listen, spending nearly 100,000 every month on medication to stay alive. Is somebody hearing me today? You know, let me tell you something. The wise person learns from the experience of others. The fool insists on making his own mistakes. You understand? Experience is the best teacher if it is somebody else's experience. Then you can learn without going through the wahala they are going through. Now, you can learn how to self-regulate without going to Aga Khan and spending 100K every month on medication. Is somebody hearing me? Okay, I'm going to get you to talk a lot. Tell your neighbor, this Niger boy is talking sense. So. Is he talking sense? I beg you, Oga. All right. So I wrote about it. I said, brand control. I said, let me help people to build depth, build substance, build a brand that will work for them so they don't have to be all over the place. Build a brand that will work for them. You know, let me ask you a question. There's a friend of mine. She was a director in a very big company in Lagos. And then she lost her job. I mean, she was so powerful, her PA had a PA. And then she lost her job and nobody remembered who she was. Don't let me tell you something, no, I beg, don't be deceived. There are people who pick your phone today just because of where you work. Am I telling the truth? Without the job, without the position, without the title, who will remain with you? Am I asking serious questions? That's why you need to build your brand. You know, that's why you need to build your brand. So I'm talking of the gaps that I allowed, which led me into that terrible heart attack. Then another thing, I was not self-aware. You need to be self-aware, and that is the heart of emotional intelligence. And you see, before you are aware of the emotions and of other people, you need to be aware of your own. You can't give what you don't have. For instance, let me tell you, my exercise is swimming. Okay? And so I try to swim every day. But I noticed that where I would swim for 45 minutes or 1 hour, I will now swim for 10 minutes and I'm totally fatigued. These were signs, isn't it? I was not aware. I was not aware that I was so emotionally invested in African affairs that when I watched the news about certain things, I got so upset, it affected me emotionally. Is somebody hearing me today? I was not aware. So you need to be aware. What are changes happening in your body? You need to be aware. What triggers you? What gets you upset? What takes you into a negative emotional space? You need to be aware. I was aware, but I didn't do anything about the fact that there were certain foods, when I eat them, they weigh me down. You want to tell me one of those? Do you want me to tell you some of those foods? I'm not going to mention any brand, so they don't take me to court. But I noticed there was a particular brand of white rice. If I took it, I would just be so tired. And that is what I took the day of the heart attack. Is somebody hearing me? I was aware that if I eat certain things at night, I'm going to have a rough night. But I didn't do anything about it. You need to be aware of changes in your body. Monitor yourself. Listen, monitor your blood sugar. Monitor your blood pressure. These are things you need to do. I read a statistic that if you have 4 people walking, 3 of them have high blood sugar, but they don't know. Listen, there is nothing like a sudden heart attack. Did you hear what I said? There is what? Like a sudden heart attack. Let me paint a picture for you you won't forget. You know, sometimes when you are driving, you use a car in front of you as a pacer, isn't it? To set the pace. So you stay very close to it. So when it overtakes, what do? And then, by the time they are going in, you quickly go back in, isn't it? Now, that is how heart attack behaves. Heart attack hides behind high blood sugar. It hides behind high blood pressure. It hides behind all those things. So you can have a heart attack that's brewing and you don't know. But if you are checking those other things, then you'll be able to curb it. Is somebody hearing me today? So, first of all, I said I was not self-regulating. I was not self-aware. Then this is important. I was too insular. And this, I think, is the big one. I prided myself as being an introverted person. And those who know me closely, they know that. Let me tell you, yes, I come out in public. I do all the stuff I do in public. But you would notice many times I just take off. If I live where I stay in Kilifi is in the jungle. I don't like surprises. You know that one of somebody say, "Hey, I'm in your neighborhood. Are you at home?" I'm not. I don't like surprises like that. I like my own. Listen, I enjoy my own company because I'm writing, I'm doing stuff, I'm a creative. So I enjoy my company. After the heart attack, I learned a very serious lesson that we must remember what I said at the beginning. The things you like to do, you have to stop. The things you don't like, you have to start. I realized I was too insular. So what was happening? That I was not talking to people. Things were eating me from within. You understand what I'm saying? So, and you see, a lot of people excuse their behavior to personality. And let me say something here. Personality is not a permission for poor behavior. It's not. What personality does is to explain tendencies, not to excuse mediocrity. I cannot hide behind a personality type and say, oh, it's because I am this, that's why I do this. No. Personality is a lens, it's not a cage. And all these personality tools are meant to reveal your preferences, not restrict your possibilities. All right? Because the truth is you can be an introvert, like I am, and still communicate well. And you can be a type A extrovert and still be empathetic. You are not your profile, your personality profile. You are your choice. I think that's very important. The introverted Wale, he would rather just read and write. I used to tell my wife years before we got married, I said, my vision is to live in the countryside, far away from everybody, and just write. And, you know, she said, how are we going to eat? I think that was a valid question. But that's my preference. That's me. All right? But it is a proven scientific fact that behavior changes with context. All right? In fact, according to a lot of studies in psychology and behavioral science, that context can override personality. That's called the situational strength theory. Somebody who says, I'm very blunt, I just say it as it is. My friend, when you're in front of your boss, you will adjust. Am I telling the truth? Oh, I just say things the way they are. Continue. In front of leadership, you'll see what happens to you. Is somebody hearing me? All right. So today, what have I done? I have to change. So I go out from time to time, enjoy good company. I realize that even though I enjoy my own company, there's a dimension of interconnectivity that I would never achieve on my own. And as a researcher, I went to look at this. I studied on this, that begin to create memories. You know, create memories, laugh, and travel light. Don't hold baggage. Listen to this study, a Harvard study of adult development. 80-year-long study found that good relationships are the most significant predictor of long-term happiness and health. Did you hear that? Good relationships. The Longevity Project, another research by Howard Friedman and Leslie Martin, they said it's also based on 80 years of just following the lives of people and then seeing how they are 80 years later, those who are alive. This is shocking. They said they emphasized the role of social connections and emotional well-being. Social connections. and emotional well-being in longevity, surpassing exercise and diet in importance. That's why you find some people, all the things that you think they don't need to do, don't drink, don't smoke, don't eat ugali at 12 midnight, they do all that and they live to be 100. Then you see the other person who is not doing any of that, is going to the gym every day and he drops down dead at 40. Have you seen it before? And they said the greatest predictor is your social connections. So anybody that wants to take me out after this, I'm ready. Then I think second to the last point, I became more intentional. And I think that's important. I became more intentional. I used to procrastinate about a lot of things. How many people here procrastinate a bit? Or am I the only one? I used to procrastinate that, you know what? One day I will do this. One day I will do this. Procrastination is a position held by people who are deceived to think they're in control of time. All right? So, listen, I was talking to somebody this morning. I said, since that heart attack, I have done more of all the things I had as dreams to do in my life than I did before the heart attack. Because I realized I saw things slipping away just like this. So, what did I do? Since then, I've written more books. This year alone, I've done 2 books, bringing the total number of books to 24 that I've written. And why do I keep writing? I write on leadership, I write on transformation. And so why do I keep writing? It's part of being intentional about legacy. Is somebody hearing me today? Then I started another company called African Legends, a publishing house, because I was tired, and I've been saying this for over 25 to 30 years. I was tired of every time we are, as a trainer, the case studies you are using, this case study of Elon Musk, a case study of Bill Gates, and I'm saying, but we have them here. Am I telling the truth? We have them here. How come we are not documenting them? So we started African Legends to begin to write books, particularly of business and success stories on the continent. And next month, we're releasing about 5 new authors, you know? And I want to challenge you. Maybe some of you have procrastinated. One day, I will write that book. That's why we set this up. Let me tell you, our authors are busy people. They're CEOs, they're chief officers like many of you. They don't have time. So what do? I have an editorial team that meets with them on Zoom. You know, somebody said civilization is making the best of all the resources available at any point in time. So my editorial team will meet with them, have conversations with them, about 4 conversations, record, transcribe, bounce it back and forth, arrange, and in 90 days, you will hold your book. Like I'm holding this, you will hold your book. And I began to say, look, it is intellectual property. It is passive income. It is multiplying your knowledge and mentoring other people. It is securing your legacy. All right? So I became more intentional in doing all these things. I became more legacy minded, and I think that will influence a lot of the things we do. You know, I was fascinated by organizations that stood the test of time. And I kept asking myself, how do I retain relevance in the long term? Thank you. How do I retain relevance in the long term? I studied companies. You know, there's a company I looked at in Japan, Kongo Gumi, founded 578 AD, and they are still making money today. I said, how do we become like that? So we have to be generational thinkers. And that now led to, I think, the greatest thing ever. I developed a doctrine which I call the gap doctrine. And what is the gap doctrine? Whenever I see a gap, instead of complain and blame somebody else, ask 3 questions. What can I do? What do I know? Who do I know? Let me give you an example of this and I'll wrap up. Listen, I was with a governor in South Coast. The whole county was governor of Transoya. And when we were having a conversation, he said, we don't have a university in the whole county. Gap. Then I was with the speaker of the county assembly. He said, we don't have a university. So I took my phone and I texted somebody. I asked them, I said, what if we found somebody who has an already existing university somewhere? Can we approach them? They said, yes. I texted someone. I said, there's an opportunity. Can we do this? The person I texted called me immediately. It was former President Obasanjo, who has the best technical university in Nigeria. And he said, Wale, I like this idea. Let's do it. You bring them to Nigeria. If they like what we have, I will send a team and we can have a university in 1 year. So guess what I did? I took the team from here, led by the Speaker of the County Assembly. I took a delegation, went to meet President Obasanjo. They saw what they saw it, they loved it. President Obasanjo sent his team, and 2 weeks ago, they were in Kitale, and it's a total, purely private investment. And we've signed the MOU. So right now, we're looking for land, and we're tidying up things with the Commission on University Education. If any of you can help us with that, the president will be very grateful to you. Are you hearing me what I'm saying? I didn't have the money. There's a gap. What can I do? And these are the things that I have found out when it comes to my self-management. All the things I was procrastinating about, now I'm able to do. I looked another gap in the Kenya prisons. There was a gap. Prisons have become places of punishment, not places of rehabilitation. So people get radicalized. So what did we do? We are moving in with a whole team to bring training and non-training interventions. And guess what? We are not asking them for a dime. We are funding it ourselves to transform and rehabilitate the prisons of Kenya. We saw a gap. I can go on with so many initiatives we're embarking on like that. So to learn more, I've got to close now. To learn more, if you are not following Wale Akinyemi on LinkedIn, that is a sin. You need to ask God to forgive you. So follow Wale Akinyemi on LinkedIn, and you can see some of this we're doing. We're already planning on something with immigration, because the first contact a foreigner has in Kenya is with an immigration officer, isn't it? That can define the experience and their image of Kenya. So we approached the immigration. The Director General has been phenomenal, and we're going to do that. There are gaps everywhere. Instead of complaining, let's get involved. This is part of how we are managing self. All right? So I've got to go. But before I go, you know I'm a writer. And I remember last time I was here, I did something for all of you, which I'm going to do again. Are you ready? When I talked about relevance, it came from Beyond Intelligence. Okay? It's a story of how to stay relevant. Brand control is what I talked about. And then the experience from customer to ambassador. How many of you would like a copy of the experience? How many of you? All right. Oh, not everybody wants. Okay, let's try this again. From all over, how many of you want a copy of the experience? Lift up your hand. Okay. Pride in one. Where is that? I see people who want. Okay, I'm going to give everybody a free copy. Who lifted up their hands? Now look at you Africans. Yeah. Look at my Africans. I want to give everybody a free copy. Who wants? No. Wait. Mamma mia. Are you hearing? he was the only one listening to my class, that opportunities are grabbed. But that said, I want to give everybody a copy of the experience, or if you want a copy of brand control, how to shape your brand, I want to give you a copy. Now, can I end by doing what all of you normally do to us? Are you ready? So you all want free copies? All those who want free copies say aye. Now, what do you people do to us? Terms and conditions apply. Terms and conditions. Isn't that I learned from you? You see, so I'm learning. So what you do, we are outside here. We are outside at Sarova. Just get any 2 books and they will give you one for free. How cool is that? I even went further to explain, to do the calculation, because I know what you are always thinking figures. Each book online is 1,300. Here, it is 1,000. Now, when you get 3, that means you are getting each book at 666.66 shillings. I learned that from you. I'm a good student. All right? So thank you so much for having me. Don't procrastinate. If you want to write a book, reach out. I'm there to help you. And let's fill the gap. Let's be nation builders and take this continent where it ought to be. God bless you. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wale. Thank you for that inspiring talk. Could you just turn to your neighbor and remind them to work on their inner infrastructure for greatness? Give a high five to your neighbor and tell them work on your inner infrastructure for greatness. So can we just give Dr. Wale a big round of applause? Thank you. Let's minimize the music, please. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Wale. Allow me to take this opportunity to acknowledge the presence of our former Vice President. He is in Sarova, White Sands, and will be speaking to us in a short while. His Excellency, Dr. Stephen Musyoka. He's in White Sands and will be speaking to us in a short while. So let's acknowledge him. We could give him another round, give him a round of applause. Delegates, I'd like us to take a few questions. We will get 1 question from each side. Unfortunately, because of time constraint, we started late. And like I have mentioned, we have our former Vice President who will be speaking to us shortly. So we will have 1 question from White Sands, another question from Pride in one question from our online delegates, and finally 1 question from Pride in 2. So Sarova, White Sands, if we could get somebody coordinate for us to get the question. Let us pick a question from White Sands.
Right, Sarova.
Just 1 question, kindly.
1 question, please. Go ahead.
My name is CPA Dr. Stephen Kimwele. It's always exciting to see Dr. Wale present. My question to you, Dr. Wale, and this pertains to leaders and the people who have busy schedules. What is your take and advice when it comes to self-regulate when somebody is holding these demanding schedules? And then you probably could also try to answer, is there a correlation between the mental health and self-regulation? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sarova. Pride in one, CPA Olive, help us get 1 question from there.
Yes, Pride in one, 1 question. Looks like Pride in one are very self-regulated. We have 1 question, please. Mike?
question.
Oga, you said that the Stone Age did not end because the world ran out of stones. Isn't it? Or I didn't hear well. I really didn't understand that. Maybe that one, Oga, I beg you explain that slightly.
Thank you. Rispa from
Yeah,
Sarova.
Olive,
Yes.
I did not get the name of the person, but I hope since you're in Pride in One, you got his name and his question. It wasn't clear to the rest of us what he asked.
We got his question. I
Thank
think
you.
Dr. Wale will respond. But the first question from Sarova, Dr. Wale didn't hear it well. Probably it can be asked again.
Thank you. I noted what Dr. Kimwele asked. If I got him right, he was asking if mental health and self-regulation are related. But if that's not right, probably Mwakazi could help us get the question one more time. There's a bit of sound problem. While we're at that, we could get a question from Pride in Two.
Okay.
We're ready, Sarova.
Okay, I may probably
Yes.
repeat my question. And Dr. Wale, you said out of 1 yes, you have around 10 no's. And then my question was, what is your take and advice to leaders and people holding demanding position when it comes to self-regulation? And in addition, probably you answer, is there any correlation between the mental health and self-regulation? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Pride in Two, do we have a question? Pride in Two, any question? Okay, could we get a question from the online audience?
Right, we do have one question here. What is the place of God in the workplace? Is there a place for a miraculous world in the workplace? Because you talked about it. Over to you.
Okay, so thank you very much for those questions, and I would like to invite Dr. Wale to just respond in about 3 minutes. Over to you, Dr. Wale.
Thank you so much. I will start with the first question. Your advice to people in top demanding positions and all that. Look, it's very simple. Like I said, as a consultant working with the UN and a whole lot of organizations internationally, I was always on the move. But let me ask you, on the 11th of August, 2023, at 3 p.m., when I had that massive heart attack, if I had not recovered, would those institutions close down? They will go on. All right? So you need to know, and part of self-regulation is when to, knowing when to say, you know what? Me time. I need to take some me time, no matter how busy you are. There is a reason why in the United States, they have Camp David as a presidential retreat. There's a reason for that. So that now when you say mental health and self-regulation, if you do not practice self-regulation, you are exposed to mental health problems. You will. And I went through that whole thing. Then the Stone Age did not end because the world ran out of stones. It's very simple. Do we still have stones today? Yes. But are we in the Stone Age? No. So there are still stones. What happened? Thinking. And I think this is a big question we need to ask leaders. What is the age of your ideas? Henry Ford said, if he was going to ask his team what to come up with, they would have said, nobody would have come up with, let's do cars, let's make cars. They would have said, let's make faster horses. And one of the challenges I see on the continent is a word that I think has been abused, is the word benchmark. We are benchmarking everything. We soon begin to benchmark stupidity and mediocrity. And the question I ask is, the pyramids in Egypt for 3,800 years were the tallest man
far. Thank you very much, CPA Olive. I think you've honored Dr. Wale.
Let's appreciate Dr. Wale.
So thank you very much. Because of time, we need to give our former Vice President sufficient time. He's here with his team. I won't take a lot of time. He's not somebody you want to introduce. He's a Kenyan household name. His Excellency Dr. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka is here with us. He'll share with us quite a number of issues from different perspectives. Your Excellency, here we have many Kenyans, but also we have our colleagues from the Eastern Africa region. We have colleagues from the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Rwanda, Uganda, Tanzania, and Burundi, and others are online internationally. So we welcome you to speak to us, share your experiences, and I'm sure we will be able to benefit a lot from your coming. Of course, we have had quite an eventful week with various speakers, various panelists on various topics. And today we have you. So I would want members of the Institute and delegates to give a round of applause for His Excellency for arriving.
Thank you. Yeah, I actually arrived. A very good morning to all of you. Please be seated. And listening to Dr. Wale, I think I saw him before he suffered the heart attack that he talked about. It's so good, Wale, if you're still in the house, we thank God for you and your life. And thank you for being such a transformational speaker. He also runs a street university. Can you imagine? A street university, which is an online institution. Before I make my remarks, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to recognize that I'm accompanied by 3 senators. Thank you so much, one of whom is the Secretary General of my party, or our party, Senator Shakila Abdallah, all the way from Lamu. And then we have some senators. Then we have Senator Agnes Kavindu, Senator for Machakos. And then we have Senator Enoch Wambua. He's also the Deputy Minority Leader in the Senate. Then we have a number of MCRs from all over the place. If you could also stand, Irene Molu, and quite a number of them. Now, I want to make my remarks, but I must also tell you to tighten your belt because I'm here to intentionally provoke you as professionals, because it's a call to action if indeed we want to save our nation. And so I'll read these remarks and perhaps juxtapose them occasionally with other remarks. Mr. Chairman, or is it Mr. President Kakai? Philip Kakai, Madam Chief Executive Officer, CPA, Dr. Grace Kamau, incoming chairman, incoming chairman, Professor Elizabeth Kalonzo. I love that name. Reminds me of where I come from. Distinguished council members and delegates gathered today, whether here or at the Sarova White Sands, here in Sarova, or Pride in Mombasa, or those of you joining us virtually. It is a great honor to address the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of this 42nd annual seminar. And ladies and gentlemen, ISPAC has a long and very rich history. The Institute, founded as a regulatory organization by an Act of Parliament in 1978, is responsible for regulating and coordinating the operations of Kenya's certified and registered public accountants. You not only advise the examination board on examinations and standards, you also advise the Minister for Finance on matters relating to financial accountability in all sectors of the economy by setting and enforcing standards of professional practice, such as accounting, auditing, and ethical standards. And how you have grown, and the region has also grown, to hear that we have also representatives, a lot of whom are also online from Burundi, from Rwanda. In fact, your council member tells me even Somalia, the newest member of the East African community, from Tanzania and wherever. I don't know whether there are others from the Republic of South Sudan, the world's newest country. As such, and governed by law, you are one of the most important pillars upon which our country's dreams should be built. Over the last 5 days, outstanding Kenyans and foreigners have addressed delegates on a wide range of topics. You have thought things out, asked questions, and shared your professional experiences. All of this has resulted in today's key theme, self-management, and listening to Dr. Wale, self-regulation. The legendary Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu remarked in one of his well-known works that, I quote, "Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power." End of quote. This was penned centuries ago, I think really connect with me today. With absolute confidence, having observed the evolution of our republic from a unique viewpoint, as a lawyer, as a mediator in our conflicts in the region, as a lawmaker, yes, even one time as deputy speaker for a whole 5 years, as assistant minister, as minister in about 5 to 6 ministries, party leader, the 10th vice president of our country, and I'm told my friend Raila was here and he protested. I should not call him former, because once a prime minister, always a prime minister. And yes, I can live with being former, but really the 10th edition of vice presidents in our country. It is no secret that something is indeed rotten in the state of Kenya today. And to be able to paraphrase William Shakespeare's Hamlet, whichever way you look at it, and I want to actually add that not only rotten, but you as professionals are called upon to make the difference. In that serious tragedy of Hamlet, the writer again reflecting said, "Time is out of joint, oh cursed spite. And I was born to set it right." I'm calling on you as professionals to recognize that time is out of joint, and you are called upon to do something about it. The state of the economy, whichever way you look at it, from the state of the economy to misplaced and misguided policies in education, health, and agricultural sectors, our nation is failing. The current regime prioritizes its own interests with nepotism and tribalism, willful corruption, and abuse of state offices taking precedence over professionalism. They've even reinvented goonism, political goonism in our country. This morning's address, the role of professionals in national growth and transformation, is thus particularly timely as we reflect on the state of our nation. In my opinion, the accounting profession should be front and center as the foundation of accountability and transparency in a healthy democracy. Therefore, allow me to focus on 4 critical pillars that I believe members of ISPAC should be guided by in our determined quest to transform our beloved republic into a nation admired and respected regionally and internationally. Pillar number 1, on ethical leadership in professional practice. ISPAC has grown in the last 41 years to be a respected body of some 40,000 certified members who work in diverse sectors of the economy as accountants, as financial experts. Some of them were lent by ODM to William Ruto, auditors, and financial consultants practicing in Kenya and beyond our borders in 44 countries around the globe. Ethics is not some philosophical notion for abstract debate. It is the very essence of professional practice. When you sign off on financial statements, you are not just confirming numbers, you are risking your professional name. You confirm success or failure and define integrity and dishonesty. Ethical leadership is thus an imperative if we are determined to change the destiny of our republic. I therefore call on each one of you today to hold yourselves to a higher level of professional ethics. Your role goes beyond merely technically competent. It involves being a moral compass, bending towards ethical justice. When you witness something in error, do not be afraid to speak out. If you are put on the spot and asked to betray your values, please hold firm. Always remember, your signature is not just a sign, it is a guarantee. Like lawyers say, my word is my bond. Your signature is your guarantee, not to your customers, but to your country. Pillar number 2, ladies and gentlemen, institutional integrity and nation building. I, like many other Kenyans, am concerned that the procurement systems, which are meant to ensure fairness and value for money, are being misused for personal gain. Kenya's budget processes that should align resources with national priorities have been turned into tools for political favoritism. At the heart of each of these failures is a professional who chose convenience over excellence, compliance over conscience. As a Nobel laureate, very own African leader, Wole Soyinka astutely puts it, and I quote, "The greatest threat to freedom is the absence of criticism." End of quote. It is time your profession regains its critical voice. I encourage you to break free from mere compliance, box checking, and step forward as champions of real institutional change. When systems break down, take the initiative to redesign them. When processes are misused, take action to fix them. Remember, you're not just cogs in the institutional machine, you are the architects and the protectors of it. Ladies and gentlemen, August 27, 2010 will always remain one of the most important days for me, and I believe for our country, and also for you, as well as all Kenyans. As previously stated, I've had the honor of seeing firsthand some of the most significant events leading up to our country's rebirth. When our third president, President Mwai Kibaki, whom I had the honor to serve as his vice president, promulgated the new Constitutional Republic of Kenya at Uhuru Park, Nairobi, I also took an oath of office as our country's 10th Vice President. I swore to be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Republic of Kenya and to obey, to preserve, protect, and defend our Constitution as by law established, and all other laws of the Republic, and that I would protect and uphold the sovereignty, the integrity, and dignity of the people of Kenya. I therefore have an obligation, if not a duty, to speak out against the current regime's blatant, indeed criminal attempts to state capture independent constitutional offices such as the Auditor General and the Controller of Budget, as well as intimidate the current office bearers, Nancy Gavungu and Margaret Nyakango in particular. There was written in Proverbs 11, I quote 11:3, when the foundations are being destroyed, what can the righteous do? This was come to mind. I know we are from various faiths, but I think God is universal. The foundations, according to me, are getting destroyed. The righteous act of these two high professionals, Nancy Gavungu and Dr. Nyakango, in exposing wanton rot perpetuated by the current leadership should be celebrated. Despite threats and outright intimidation, they have stood strong and firm. Their moral conscience stays unwavering. They are, in my opinion, genuine shujas, mashujaa wetu. I urge ISPAC leadership to stand with and support these two heroes who are members of your profession and give your voices to publicly condemn a dictatorship that has lost its moral authority, if ever it had one in the very first place. Pillar number 3, civic awakening and youth engagement. There is a civic awakening that is sweeping through our nation, and indeed actually through the continent, especially among the youth. The events of June 25th last year, what I call J25, marked a turning point in our national consciousness. When young Kenyans took to the streets across Kenya in droves, they were not just protesting against the punitive finance bill 2024, armed with a bottle of water, our national flag, and their mobile phones. They were reclaiming their role in shaping the future of their nation. I find myself even thinking about what this means for Kenya's business community. These young adults, some of whom are your own students, or indeed your own children, are calling us to answer a basic question. What shall we bequeath to the next generation as professionals? As professionals, you do hold a special place in society. You have specialized knowledge that comes with both power and responsibility. How you choose to use this knowledge will determine whether you are seen as defenders of the status quo or defenders of change. Young people in Kenya are paying attention. They are wondering how professionals who understand the complexity of public finance can remain silent when public money is being stolen. They are wondering why experts who see unsustainable policies speak out only when a crisis has developed. I'm a firm believer in mentorship. It is important to guide young professionals, not just in the technical aspects of their job, but also in the domain of ethical leadership. Let us create forums for deep discussions between generations in organizations. A nation that cannot mobilize the talent and idealism of its youth is one that risks falling behind. I encourage you today to step beyond professional comfort levels. Meet with policymakers, not as technical experts, but as defenders of economic justice. Use your analytical talent to bring into sharp focus the true costs of corruption and bad governance. Use your data analytics to provide us with an honest opinion on where existing policies are taking us. As our own Professor Kalista Juma correctly asserted, I quote, "It is not the size of resources that dictates Africa's development, but how efficiently those resources are utilized," end of quote. As professionals in accounting, you are guardians of that efficiency. Now, my next thing is beyond compliance to conscience. As we near the end of the time we'll be sharing together, I challenge you to go beyond compliance to the next level of conscience. Conscious Kenyans. Utu. Compliance asks, is it legal? Where conscience asks, is it right? I also challenge you to take on 4 specific commitments. Commitment number 1, commit to being an ethical leader in your circle of influence. Where corruption exists, do not remain silent. Where power is being abused, do not stay quiet. Second commitment, take the pledge to seek change in institutions. Use your knowledge to construct structures and put in defense mechanisms to protect against exploitation. Do not stay as implementers in institutions, be transformers instead. Friends and fellow professionals, I have a question for you. Are you sure that Kenyans received nominations for purposes of reconstituting the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission, who are representatives of your profession? I ask this question pointedly. I received some of 2 of your council members when I sat as a co-chair of the NADCO process at Bomas. Your voice was loud and clear. Are you taken seriously? As ISPAC, as accountants, people who have knowledge about numbers, the analytics. And in my view, the next elections will have to depend on accountants to give us correct numbers. Not other professions or lawyers like me, right? But accountants have a specific role if you're going to throw out the ghost, the ghost of election stealing and that kind of thing. You had that wonderful opportunity. I have another question for you. Why is it that none of the nominees handpicked by President William Ruto are professional members of ISPAC? Why is it? Why were the recommendations of your member, Mr. Andrew Tanui, who was one of the 9 members of the IEBC selection panel, ignored? I believe that if the opposition, which I represent truly, and the broad-based government consisting of UDA and ODM had held consultations and concurred in accordance with the National Dialogue Committee report recommendations, a nominee such as your chairman Kakai, who was on the short list of 9 recommended members of reconstituted IBC, could have been included. And he's sitting here, ignored. I believe by ignoring your chairman, your president, you're being told, Mutadu. I urge you, as a professional body, to step up and join the rising number of people who have expressed no confidence with the Ruto nominations, as well as to request a full and unpunished accounting of the vetting process by the IEBC selection panel. Kenyans expect nothing less. Third, ladies and gentlemen, let us take a pledge to mentor the next generation. Share your knowledge and experience with the next generation of professionals and leaders. Help create paths for young professionals to develop. Recall, true legacy is not individual success, it is forward thinking and allowing the effortless passage of information. Fourth, give back to your community. Your professional acumen gives you a keen vision of the challenges facing our nation. Employ that vision in public conversation. These commitments will not always be easy to keep. There even be personal or professional repercussions for standing up for what is right and what is just. But let us remember the powerful words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I quote, "The ultimate measure of a woman, a man or woman, is not where he or she stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands or she stands at times of challenge and adversity." End of quote. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, I've taken the time to discuss what I truly believe is the role that professionals can play in reforming society. However, I'll be doing the profession an injustice if I did not address an urgent issue that, if handled, will aid in the realization of his vision and goals. When I accepted the invitation to address this distinguished gathering of more than 4,000 professionals, Dr. Kamau shared the 5-day program with me. There were a number of senior members of the executive that were scheduled to speak with you. However, this did not materialize. They did not show up. They failed to honor the invitations and send junior staff in their stead. I know that junior staff sometimes do an excellent job. But look at this decor, the seriousness of this forum. If Prime Minister Raila Odinga made it here and he proclaimed he's still not in government, I doubt that. Others should have taken leadership, showed leadership. They failed to honor the invitations for persons or reasons they believe were valid. I believe this is the latest example of the growing list of Kenya Kwanza kleptocracy, lack of integrity, and indeed ineptitude. It is a reflection of their callous disregard for professionalism. So professionals in our country, please stand up and be counted. Did you know that the last general election had a very interesting statistic? About 8 million Kenyans did not show up to vote. I believe a lot of them, those who are professionals, who found it difficult to go out and queue in a primary school from 6 o'clock in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. And they sat in the comfort of their homes. You unfortunately do not vote by proxy. You got to go there and do it. I think we have to think as professionals. There are countries where voting is compulsory. I think in India, for example, voting is compulsory. It's the world's largest democracy. Think about this. Because of that, every Kenyan with a payslip is feeling the weight of that inaction. Going forward, I think every Kenyan payslip holder will be the first ones, in my view, to get out by 4 o'clock in the morning and then queue. They should have used this forum for public discussion. I'm talking about those friends too who did not show up. And therefore this cannot be, and it cannot properly be seen as a forum for the opposition. So government side, don't be scared of your own people. Come and explain to them. They should have used this forum for public discussion and involvement, carefully listening to your perspectives on the state of the nation and how to remove Kenya off the grey list. They should have sought your expert advice on how to reinforce this 41-year-old body in light of emerging trends and concerns, such as the use of technology, data analytics, and artificial intelligence, as well as dealing with money laundering and wish-washing. They should have discussed accountant empowerment They squandered an incredible opportunity to work with you, line by line, on the Finance Bill 2025-2026, ensuring their punitive and costly errors of 2023, 2024, and 2024-2025 will not be repeated. And more importantly, that no more Kenyan lives will be lost or endangered because of exercising their constitutional rights to peaceably protest and picket. Disregarding the views of Kenyans, be it professional or students, salaried workers or mama mbogas or boda riders, ladies and gentlemen, is Kenya Kwanza's modus operandi. I can with absolute authority assure you, assembled here at the Pride Inn or online, that the next administration will not, and I repeat, will not treat professional associations, professionals, and indeed all Kenyans in this shocking disregard. I have no doubt that the next administration will be led by a member of a professional institution, the first in our history, a person of the highest integrity, a Kenyan whose commitment to the rule of law is unwavering and whose resume is a clear roadmap of their dedicated and steadfast service in the public interest. Do you suspect I'm talking about myself? I leave that on to you. As I end my address, I would like you to ask yourself and the man or woman sitting next to you or beside you, whether you have the will to make a difference. When generations look ahead and reflect on this moment of choice in our history, let them remember that when Kenya was at a crossroads, its professionals opted for change over the path of least resistance. Let them understand that accountants are not just number crunchers. They were the guardians of public faith. Let them understand that this generation of professionals did not just construct careers, they helped reshape a failing nation into a transformed, ethically guided economic powerhouse that is internationally respected and admired, as well as benchmarked against and indeed worthy of the new cliche, and I end quote, there is the African continent, and then there is Kenya. Have you heard that lately? Agree, Dr. Wale? You cannot benchmark mediocrity. The world is benchmarking Kenyans. I repeat, there is the African continent, and then there is Kenya. God bless you, and God bless our Republic, Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the 10th Vice President of Kenya. Let's give him a round of applause. Everywhere, online, now we have come to a stage where we need to interrogate his speech. And I would want us to get a few questions because of time. So we'll get 2 from each venue, and then he will be able to respond to all of them. You agree that he's a professional and a member of the Law Society of Kenya, but is defending the institute interestingly. So thank you very much. We can start with Pride In 2. Pride In 2. Pride In 2.
Thank you, Chairman. Pride In 2, how many questions will you allow us?
At least 2.
At least, so we can do 5. Sorry. Thank you. So the first question will be from FCPA Georgina. Do we have any other?
consider balancing.
Where the
gender.
microphones? Okay, so FCPA Georgina, kindly go ahead. We have two questions.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, the former Vice President of Kenya, Honorable Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. We have seen a lot of companies that have closed shop. Some have shifted their businesses to the neighboring countries. SMEs are closing down, sinking down with debt. And all this has culminated into what is beyond employment and now gone to negative social practices. What would be the realistic ways that professionals can come into the space and be able to restore what has been lost, and specifically to be able to create avenues for job creation and meaningful job creation, not just job creation, restore investor confidence, and above all, spur economic growth? Thank you.
Thank you very much, FCPA Georgina. We have a question from Pride in Two. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Richard Pasito, CPA. My question to His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka, the chairman of Wiper Party, on the issue of Finance Bill 2025, because we had 2024, which brought a lot of uproar, and then we had a lot of issues, people being abducted, running on the streets. Now we have the another 2025. Maybe in the opposition, in the Kenya opposition, if you are involved and you are able to interrogate to see that issues which raise a lot of uproar in Kenya in 2024 are not replicated, so that we may not have the same issues as we had last year. So I think it's important we interrogate. If you're able to interrogate yourself, especially because you have representation in the both houses, National Assembly and the Senate, if they're able to interrogate the issues being raised in the items in the 2025 finance bill, so that they may not be replicated in the one in 2024. Thank you.
Thank you very much, CPA, though you didn't introduce yourself.
Richard Pasito, CPA from Kajiado County.
Thank you very much. Chair, those are the questions from Pride in Two. I give it back to you.
Thank you very much, CPA Rispa. Pride in One. CPA
Yes, Chair, thank you. Pride in One, we are ready. We have two questions. I will start with the lady. Put it close to you.
Good morning, accountants. My name is Pieros Mukabi. I work for T sector. I would like to thank our former Vice President for the key highlights and also call for accountants to step up. I have an appeal or a question. Kenya is number 3rd in the world in tea producing, and it plays a big role in foreign exchange in our country. But at the moment, we are experiencing poor auction prices, and most of the factories are at the brink of closing, which will lead to loss of jobs and also poverty. My question to the former Vice President, what are you doing as opposition, especially now that Sudan has banned our sale of tea to their country, and there are a lot of containers in Mombasa? Has opposition made their voices in both houses and also done enough to safeguard the tea sector? Thank you.
Thank you. The second question, we have a gentleman.
Thank you. My name is CP Robert. My question to His Excellency is about Vision 2030. His Excellency had the privilege of being in the administration that crafted Vision 2030. We are coming to the end of Vision 2030, where there are some goals that have been attained, there are some key ones, for example, becoming a middle income country that have not been attained. So there are lessons learned as to what we did right and what we did not do right. And just to tie to that, we are not really seeing what is beyond Vision 2030. Is there a Vision 2060? And as a candidate anchoring to form government in the next election, you will probably be operating outside Vision 2030. So it may be important for maybe His Excellency to clarify, the journey of Vision 2030 and the vision that the country holds beyond 2030, and the things that we can target, so that when our forefathers tell us South Korea, Singapore were at the same level with Kenya, we have a chance now to tell them that was the story up to 2030. Beyond 2030, we've probably caught up with them and even gone better. Thank you.
Thank you, CPA Robert. Thank you, CPA Rose. Back to you, Chairman.
Thank you. Virtually, Mwakazi, those appearing online.
Right, there's a question here. What is your proposed plan for Kenya's tax policy to restore purchasing power to Kenyans? What are the top 5 executive orders you would prioritize if you were to be the president-elect?
Okay. You can repeat the first one, I think.
The first one, what is your proposed plan for Kenya's tax policy to restore purchasing power to Kenyans? And what are the top 5 executive orders you would prioritize?
Thank you. We can now have Sarova, 2 questions. Where is the mic? The mic. Who has the mic? Proceed.
My name is CPA Albert Mutia Mailu, and my question is both to my party leader, Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, and my senator, Bwana Wambua, who is here. And what I'm wondering is, I'm not feeling both of you as the opposition, and when things are not working well in Kenya, and when we are talking about 2027, I'm seeing the coalition you are trying to form is with the people who are already tainted. Are we really on the right direction? Thank you.
Okay. Another mic is there?
My name is Patrick Washira. I have one comment and a question to His Excellency Dr. SK Musyoka. One is that for the last 5 or so elections, because every year we have upwards of 60–70% new registrators. But the problem that Kenya remain. So what ails Kenya? What as voters do we need to do? Number 2, in your position, esteemed position as alternative leadership of this country, is a call and request that you help us to elevate the level of debate. Currently, we are all engaged in a conversation about NGCDF, about GAF, about Senate oversight fund, but nobody is talking about whether there is a prudent utilization of those funds. We are talking about should they go to the devolved government, should they go to the central government, but nobody is talking about making sure wherever the funds are, they need to be utilized properly. Number 3, touching on audit, which is where most of...
Limit the questions we have.
Okay, thank you, Chairman.
Let's have a lady. Those are 2 gentlemen. Yeah. Quickly. Yes. The mic is not on.
My name is CPA Catherine Juma. And looking at Kenya, we have a government that is very expensive. We saw the original 21 districts divided into 47 counties, and so many other things, positions came in with that. During the constitution that is now over 10 years old. I want to hear, Your Excellency, your opinion on whether the voices of the accountants were heard as far as the cost of delivery that government is concerned. Because we had the legal mind, the lawyers were very vocal, and the political class. Would you, in your opinion, as a politician, say that their accountants were heard, or did we keep quiet? And are we doing anything to change how this country is governed as far as cost of delivery is concerned? Thank you.
Okay. Finally, here, those two, a lady. I think we are done. No, there's a lady here because we had two gentlemen. And shoot your question straight.
Yeah, Excellency, for your presentation. Mine is to ask you about public debt. This has been a widespread concern, and as a Kenyan, as I read about the growing public debt, even the local borrowing and the interest rates, it is something that is very, it needs to be addressed. So how would you intend to balance that out? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency?
Chair.
Is another question? No, we
Yes,
can...
Chairman, pride in one, we are requesting to be allowed one more question, if that is okay.
Maybe you can respond to these ones first, just in case there will be one or two, but let him respond. Probably in the process of responding, he might respond to that one.
Okay, thank you, Chairman.
Well, there are quite a number of questions, a handful, very useful questions. I'll start with Georgina. In fact, Georgina, along with another council member, appeared before our NADCO team at Bomas. I remember that name very well. I suspect, like the incoming president, she's from my part of the world. But that is not relevant now. What is important is the question she has put forward. We had then, and that's about, 2 years now, over 6,000 companies, Kenyan companies, were translocating to Tanzania, to Uganda. I'm not quite sure how many were translocating to Rwanda and Burundi, but those two countries specifically, over 6,000 Kenyan companies, because of the high levels of taxation, those companies translocated. That actually effectively meant those jobs went across our borders. And Catherine Juma, you would agree with me that losing any job is actually being ineffective cost-wise, because these are the young people who are crying out for their country. They cannot get their jobs back. Therefore, Georgina, the creation of jobs will be a priority in the coming administration. And I think I can link that up with the question that the gentleman asked online. I think it was Mwakazi. What are the 5 issues, executive orders you would issue if you are to become the next leader? And I want to tell you, I've already pronounced myself on one very explicitly. And I repeat here before professionals, do away with housing tax. That is number 1. And that will mean that erosion of the payslip is looked after. I'm thinking very strongly having been once Minister for Education, when we advised President Kibaki then to think of free primary education. And one time, please Kenyans may have forgotten, I actually ran to be president. If I do it, it'll be second time round. And my votes were stolen, were they not? Got close to 1 million votes, and others were stolen. Never mind. That is history. But then I spoke very clearly about a 24-hour economy. This is time to think about. If we are going to create those jobs, Madam Georgina, we have to work like bees. We have no time to waste. Every Kenyan who is unemployed is a big problem to all of us. And then they turn violent, we call them goons, and then become ready for political leaders who have lost focus, and they believe they can buy leadership by employing goons. Look at what happened at the promulgation. I think former Deputy President Gachagua, not former deputy. Deputy President Gachagua just wanted to name his new political party. They could not even allow him. You pay goons to cause harm, possibly death to leaders. Kenyans must stand up and say, no. I, like Mahatma Gandhi, I believe in change which is free of bloodletting. And so we will say no to goonism, because that is because these unemployed Kenyans, you give them 500 shillings and tell them, stone Madam President, they will do it. We have to get our conscience back. But free education should be taken a notch higher. Whether or not it will be my executive order number 2, will await the input of the professionals, Catherine Juma. But we can do free primary education, free secondary education in our public schools, and even free university education. If we stop the stealing, there will be free university education, because every Kenyan is entitled to the highest quality of life. Vision 2030, some friend talked about Vision 2030. And I've seen in your printed programs, talk about medium-term planning, the 4th edition, to try to achieve the objectives we had set ourselves, given ourselves about Vision 2030. What are you hearing? Do you hear the Ruto administration 1 minute talking about Vision 2030? No. What you hear them talk about is bottom up. Goodness. Kenyans, I think we need to go for mental checkup. All of us. Bottom up economics. One time William Ruto thought he was a student of Mwai Kibaki, was a foremost economist. Remember, as leaders, President Mwai Kibaki, when he was Minister for Finance, actually appeared in the Time magazine. That time is the most promising, one of the most promising African and world leaders. He lived to be that. You don't hear anybody talk about Vision 2030. But I can tell you, we have ongoing Vision 2030 projects that this current administration is doing nothing about, or they least care about them. I'll give you an example. A project that is supposed to produce 650 megawatts of electricity, known as the High Grand Falls Dam, should have been implemented by now. And that to add on to electricity, connectivity, and even be able to export our electricity. You know that at midnight, we receive from the Owen Falls Dam in Uganda so much. And yet this Vision 2030, which are also supposed to do entire irrigation of Tana River County all the way to Garissa counties. Nobody talks about that. Even the Mama Mbogas are forgotten. And one of the things you do, like we did with President Kibaki, was to remove to zero rate the border borders. Do you know that a border today that would have cost 70,000 shillings is costing 150 shillings because of the taxation, Ruto regime? That will be another executive order. at least we have something that is helping the youth. And in terms of climate change discussions, again, I remind myself I was Minister for the Environment when Professor Wangari Maathai won the Nobel Peace Laureate Award, and I was able to take her to Norway that time to receive that award. Environment is key. And when President Ruto met with Prime Minister Sunak, I think it was, of the UK in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, they discussed this project about the high grand force. And what has happened since is this committee in Treasury supposed to do this. The PPPs, which are actually potentially very useful, public-private partnerships, are really being held hostage because this administration will say we want 10%, we want 10% to go to this and the other, therefore, grant standing. And this effectively means loss of jobs for Kenyans. Vision 2030, whatever remains between now and 2030, of course, need to be amended. Africa is talking about Vision 2063. I believe myself, even as professionals, we take out our gloves and decide for once we are getting out of our comfort zones and stop corruption. I talked about you signing documents that sell out your conscience and your country. If we do that, we stop Ruto and his team from mismanaging this economy, we will be able to do stuff between now and 2030 and prepare for the next medium-term plan. These opportunities that the top advisors in the Ruto administration, including CS Bandi, should have been here to talk about. But we will issue very clear instructions. I am very passionate about free education for all citizens. And we will fund that free education when we stop the stealing. I also want to say that number 4, number 3, number 5, Mr. Mwakazi, await further instructions. I will be able to talk to you about those as we go on. Now, somebody talked about Kenyans who are tainted, and that gentleman must be from Kitui County. Senator, talk to your elector, and let me tell him, now I'm talking like a professional lawyer, no person shall be condemned unheard. So don't out there start there and say, yeah, tainted, what business do you have with so-and-so? If there are angels in this room, please put up your hands. But there can be policies that draw the line. We would draw the line on the sand and say, from now on, zero corruption. It can happen, my friends. Now, I'll give you an example of somebody you may think is tainted. Governor Natembeya. 2 days ago, and I gave advance notice, was haunted. Because they want to punish any dissenting voices, went out and obtained a search warrant. And with that search warrant, they carried, I'm told, this is to be verified, about 61 million shillings all the way to Trans Nzoia to Governor Natembeya's house to plant evidence. 61 million. Waseme amepatikana na hundi. Hundi ya 61 million shillings. Huyu mjamaa ni mwizi. What happened? The youths in Trans Nzoia, the Gen Zs in Trans Nzoia, decided, no, we will not allow this. So what did they do? They instead vandalized the Subarus, those famous Subarus. They were flat tire. And to their amazement, they found the loot. There's a village called Matisi in Trans Nzoia. Go check Senator Ambua. That night was party time, enjoying the 61 million evidence to be planted on Governor Natembeya. What a shame. What a shame. Well, former Minister for Agriculture, Mr. Linturi, you may say he's tainted, but he gave us assurance that he's not going to be condemned and hard. Hatabeba mizigo ya watu wengine, is going to talk to Kenyans about the fake fertilizer. Remember, fake fertilizer. Who was responsible? Who did what? Thank you so much, brother, brother Dr. Wale. It's good to see you. You are a survivor of heart attack. Let's give him a big applause. And thank you for standing strong for your faith. So again, Senator Lenturi and former governor, Minister for Agriculture, Kenyans are waiting to know the truth. Although biblically the truth is Jesus Christ. And Kenyan the leaders keep on saying, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Kenyans want to know the truth about Bolea Feki. And then you see, kumbe the big boys, the bigger boys, were the ones involved. So don't judge people on the face value. Listen to their story. And even the Dao, the ignorant, I like the words of the Desiderata, the Dao and the ignorant, they too have their story. But every person must be subject to the same treatment under the law. So I talked about Vision 2030 and Rose Mukavi, amazing, amazing. Tea production, you know we have the tea auction here in Mombasa. Did you know that a Kenyan called Joe Kamau and his younger brother decided to be very active in the tea auction here in Mombasa? And they had created an extra 300 jobs for young Kenyans here in Mombasa. What happened to Joe Kamau over Christmas? In 2024 or 2023, he was arrested, was taken around before DCI, and they could not provide any charges. They actually wanted to say money laundering, our professionals, money laundering. They found nothing. This young man was doing value addition to Kenyan tea. Do you know now, as a result of compromising stand by Kenya Tea Development Authority, KTDA, our friends from Rwanda, congratulations. The tea from Rwanda has overtaken the tea from Kenya in terms of quality, because they also bring their tea from Rwanda, Uganda, here in Mombasa for the auction. Those 300 jobs were lost. Joe Kamau translocated to Dubai, given all the welcome. This is a Kenyan example of a Kenyan entrepreneur who wants to make a difference, to create those jobs, and they get frustrated. Therefore, Rose, we will do quite a bit to just, again, get rid of corruption from KTDA and wherever. Well, you asked me a question that very, very critical at this time. I know General Buhran, the leader in Sudan. You know, after South Sudan became independent, they kept the names the Republic of South Sudan, headquartered capital Juba, and Khartoum, the headquarters of Khartoum, now translocated because of the hostilities between RSF and the army. I think they moved to Port Sudan, and even there they are getting attacked under drones. And you heard General Buran say, because of William Ruto's support to RSF, these are the original Janjaweeds from Darfur. People wanted for crimes against humanity, killing the black community. But they come here, we give them red carpet treatment. And instead of now working to bring the factions together, we have taken sides. Professionals, did you know that gold from Darfur is flown into JKI and then flown on to Dubai, treated under the rules of origin as Kenyan gold? And that probably is funding the war effort in the Sudan. So if I got opportunity, I'll look for General Buran and tell him, please don't punish the Kenyan farmers, because I think the biggest exporter consumer of our tea is Iran, then Pakistan, and of course Sudan. Wanakula ile kawa tungu, tea, black tea. And people are sitting here supervising corruption. How will this economy ever grow? So I still maintain that it is possible to get rid of corruption and this economy will grow like where Kibaki and I left it. We are later joined by Prime Minister Raila Odinga. And Kenyans will remember that is the time when our GDP growth actually hit 7%. Now I want to conclude. I hope I've tried to respond. I would want to get professional advice from you. I've always dreamed of Dubai in Kenya, not necessarily Dubai. And Mombasa can be a free port. That's how we'll now incrementally, we will grow this economy exponentially. This economy will take off. But because of corruption, I'll give you another example. President Paul Kagame decided to give 49% shares to Qatar Airways. Qatar Airways had come wanting to do the same with Kenya Airways, but you show our 10%, our 20%. So Qatar migrated to Kigali. Kigali is about to launch one of the best international airports in the African continent. JKIA supposed to be leased to Andani. Corruption, Shah, Shi, Andani. We must talk openly as Kenyans. So this is where we are, the state of a nation with regard to corruption. Imagine if Qatar Airways had bought the 49 shares in Kenya Airways. If I was William Ruto, I'd give him free advice because I think Kenya is in good standing with the Emirates. Perhaps try and convince the Emirates to do what Qatar has done in Rwanda. Perhaps our international airport will regain its name. Do you know that any Kenyan arriving from anywhere in the world, and there are many in the diaspora, wakiingia pale JKI, mizigo inawakwa XXXX, that means unalipa huyu customs pesa nyingi zaidi. Wengine wamenulia tu relatives leso moja or something. You have to pay ushuru even on that. This is an ushuru land. You pay through your nose. I think Kenyans are now the wiser. So I think I've tried to address that, Catherine, and public debt, of course, Madam, you didn't give us your name, but this public debt. Remember when William Ruto came to power, he said there was going no external borrowing, nothing. William Ruto goes to America, is given the highest honor by President Joe Biden. Kenya is made a non-NATO ally, which I openly objected to, because that's my forte. Our foreign policy orientation has always been that we are positively non-aligned. We are friends to all, because we are still young economy, and we want to grow. But you take size now, you are put on the arm's length, because our Shabab and others, instead of hitting us like they hit us in 1998, remember Dar es Salaam and Nairobi bomb blast? They were hitting Americans, now they'll be hitting Kenyans, because we are aligned. Because of it, our men were taken to Haiti. There's a family in Kiambu still crying for the remains of their loved one. A thing which did not go under the UN Security Council arrangement. It was a deal cut between Kenya and the United States. But what does William Ruto do after that? Agenda item number 5, when a ranking Chinese delegation came to Kenya, and William Ruto said, please China, help Kenya become a member of BRICS. Now from being an aligned nation to a member of BRICS, these are serious matters. Of course, as a sovereign nation, it is our duty to accept to join any bloc without let or hindrance. But don't play games with them. Be honest. The People's Republic of China has helped this economy significantly. And no country, including the United States, can do without China. This is why Donald Trump himself has had to discuss this tariff regime with the People's Republic. Nobody can, but be consistent. Go for non-active, non-alignment. I pity my brother, Wycliffe Musalia, fumbling and not knowing exactly what to do. So the public debt is still an issue. It is growing. I think it's now in trillions. If you use money to develop your economy, develop your infrastructure, do the right thing, minus corruption, nobody will really worry so much about public debt. But if we take over, President Xi Jinping, the leader of the People's Republic, I'm sure will look favorably at those commitments that can help reduce our level of public debt. So I think I've tried to cover those things, and if there's one that is probably not dealt with, I think Finance Bill 2025, our friend from Kajiado, you know, that's why CS Badi should have come here and try to explain and get concurrence from this very authoritative forum. As I said in my statement, line by line approach with regard to the 2025 Finance Bill. But Kenyans are watching. Those things that were objected to by Gen Z's, the majority of Kenyans, are still being sneaked in. So if there's another clarion call, hashtag reject the bill, Kenyans have every reason to reject it. But before they do, please let them listen to you. I've tried to address all those issues, I think. It's Catherine Juma again on expensive government and cost of delivery, and whether the voice of the accountants was listened to. You see, if you don't stand up, Catherine, and get listened to, you can demand to be listened to. I gave you an example. Your own professional goes in to sit as a member of that selection panel for the IEBC reconstitution panel. He fights, I don't know how well he fought or he got compromised, I don't know. But the name of your own chairman, who should be schooled in numbers better than the lawyers, right, gets ignored. And you're sitting here very comfortably. I think that accountants, if you allow me, I can teach you to demonstrate. I was almost killed in 2023 with Raila and Eugene Wamala, my colleague, almost got killed in Mathare. Because then we're demonstrating against the high cost of living. If you sit out there, don't think you look less of a professional by using your rights under Article 37. In fact, you'll be reinforcing. You know, this is the time, my friends, to do something for your country. Do something for your country. I saw somebody saying, I don't know whether William Ruto said, he set off for my friend Raila Odinga because Kalonzo alikuwa kichwa ngumu. Nitakuwa kichwa ngumu mpaka waende nyumbani. I thank you.
Thank you very much. You give a mic to a politician and he will answer many questions that are not asked after answering yours. So thank you very much, CPA. Olive from Pride in One, you had a question that you, I don't know whether it has been answered. We are running a bit late on time. CPA Olive from Pride in One.
Chairman, we have one more from Pride in Two.
Okay, one, because time is not on our side. CPA Rispa and CPA Olive, proceed very quickly.
Thank
Pride in One, yes, our question is ready.
Proceed, CPA Olive.
Dr. Wawero will ask the question.
Thank you very much. My name is Dr. Waweru Jackson. I'll go straight to my question. Now that you have thrown your heart into the ring to lead the great country of Kenya, I request you to indulge us as accountants your position as a lawyer on odious debts, given that our country debt is running at about 12 trillion. What will be your policy position on odious debt? Thank you.
Respa, Riding 2.
Riding 2, we have a question from Council Member CPA Wycliffe. Go ahead.
Thank you. My name, as you've said, is CPA Wycliffe Bichanga, Council Member. Your Excellency, this is about county governments. I think for the longest time, there's been a discussion about the economic viability of our counties. Will be good to hear what are your thoughts on this. That is it time we considered probably merging counties and capping the number, because there's been a discussion in terms of duplication, and probably some duties could be done better if we had bigger regions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Back to you.
Thank you. Your Excellency, you can take those two.
Well, I thank you, Dr. Waweru Jackson. 12 trillion in form of debt, trillion shillings, I believe. And I think that I tried, though not with a sense of in-depth approach to deal with it, but these, some of them, what you're calling odious debts, there are other debts. No, what I think even under Jubilee administration, what they tried to do that time was to borrow commercially, commercial debts. My expertise is in negotiations. And in business, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. A lot of these debts will need serious renegotiation. But you must establish a level of credibility so the people with whom you're negotiating can take you seriously. So I will work with the accounting profession to have a relook at all these numbers and be able to know what needs to be done. And the economic viability of the counties, I think again, Madam Catherine addressed this issue when she was saying that the voice of the accountants was never listened to. Economic viability of the counties. Let me give you a very live example. Madam Shakila is a Secretary General of Wiper Democratic Movement. She's from the county of Lamu. Tell me, if you try to merge Lamu with Tana River, or merge the whole thing to create one coastal region, what that will mean. I believe myself, and I want to be able to convince the accountants on this. Again, when we deal with governance, you'll be able to even, instead of 47, be able to sustain the 47 counties, all right? And then, by the way, there are other smaller constituencies, like in Taita Taveta, several 27 constituencies, which as we speak are still seen to be unconstitutional because nobody did anything about it. By the way, had William Ruto and Raila Odinga implemented the NADCO recommendations, because we specifically dealt with those issues, the country will be very far. But now we are faced with another election and a lot of prevarication, and nobody wants to commit. My view then will be we need to further interrogate. Because if you're looking at amending the Constitution, the lawyers will talk to you about the basic structure. The 47 counties are written in the Constitution. To do anything about that, you need to go to the Kenyans with a referendum. On a referendum, make it a referendum issue. There were those who felt that time that instead of having the 47 counties, why don't we stick to the 8 original provinces? That's still a valid question. But the decision was taken by the Kenyan people at a referendum to establish the 47 counties. If you give somebody a right, that's a legal issue again. You give somebody a right and you want to take it away from them, you really have a lot of explaining to do. Therefore, the safe approach would be stop the stealing, stop the corruption, get people to develop themselves wherever they are. I hope I've answered you, and that was actually the question by council member, was it Chama? The same thing. It will need a lot of consultation. I thank you.
So thank you very much. Let's give a round of applause to our 10th Vice President. CEO with your team. Let's do what we need to do. And then I'll request council members who are here to come on stage. May I recognize my predecessors who are here also, FCPM Mwatu, Julius, the 22nd chairman of ISPAC. May I recognize FCPA Rose Maura, the 23rd chairman of ISPAC. I'm the 25th. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. Thank you for your time. Asante sana. Excellent. Thank you so much.
Council members, senators.
Welcome to the 42nd ISPAC annual seminar happening here in Mombasa. We're looking at beyond the profession, accountants in every sphere of the economy. Happening here in Mombasa, the stage is ready.
May I have the former chairman come on board?
Hello.
Sound Candy Talk Live News.
And I really appreciate for being with you and having moment discussion, having a day with you. Indeed, it's so great as Bernard started over. For more confirmation or for more details of if you want to support the channel, just use the scrolling details on the screen and it will be great. If you also want to advert with us, use the screen details on the screen and we'll market your product very well, and we also market. And if the first time coming across the channel and you have not clicked the subscription note, please make sure you click the subscription note so that we can be together and we can move together as one. And also there's the link to join inside to be a member of Sound Candy Talk. Please, I still urge you, click the link, join and be a member of Sound Candy Talk. For those who are watching us on TikTok, please, I urge you, go to the YouTube channel, search Sound Candy Talk the same way it is on TikTok. Please subscribe and also join. Be a member of Sound Candy Talk and it will be great. We really love you. We really respect you. And I really ask God bless you because we really appreciate for you being there as Team Sound Candy Talk.
Are you looking for video live streaming services? You want your church services to be on air? You do not know where to market your goods and services? At Sound Candy Talk, we deliver the best live stream services for your events, product and service launches, conferences, weddings, and live. Reach on us today. At Sound Candy Talk, we provide live UHD broadcast for church services, talk shows and podcasts, weddings, live bands, products and services launches, webinars and trainings, Zoom meetings, conferences, seminars, exhibitions, and virtual concerts. Tonight.
Basi yule mtoto akasema ile siku moja mimi sijaenda kanisani na Yesu Kristo anakuja.
Because kuleta ndege ya Chief of Defense Forces down is not only negligence but criminal negligence.
Nilikuja hapa hadi ya Gong nikamwambia mchague Ruto. Na mimi naomba msamaha.
Na mchezo huu rais ni mchezo ambao utakusaidia wewe rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Ni mchezo ambao unakufundisha jinsi vile kufanya kazi.
Your Excellency, what helped that case was there was a policeman who recorded his statement in English.
Sasa huyu ndiye nilipiga kofi. Juzi ndio amenipigia simu akaniambia.
Tonight. You are watching Sound Candy Talk Live. Unatazama Sound Candy Talk Live. tonight.
The show that gives you an opportunity to air what you feel and think about the latest development on our political front. Well, a lot is taking place so fast. Therefore, everybody must work hard to stay on the cutting edge as far as making sense of our politics is concerned, and of course, remaining on top of all matters.
Tonight.
This is Sound Candy Talk Live. 72 people have cast their vote already, and only 42 have liked the video. Justified. So from the look of things, the majority of Kenyans think the government need to up their. Glad to report we are back on the main channel as well.
Sound Candy Talk Live News.